Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. The South Caucasus is entering a pivotal moment, shifting regional alliances, new European partnerships, and a fragile but urgent push towards a lasting peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Brussels and Washington are stepping up their involvement, while energy security, transport corridors, and the question of what a real post-conflict settlement looks like are increasingly defining regional diplomacy. And today, to help us unpack these fast-moving developments, I'm joined in studio by Elchin Amirbayov, the representative of the President of Azerbaijan on special assignments. Mr. Ambassador, welcome to TVP World. So glad to have you here with us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
So, Mr. Ambassador, do tell us, please, first and foremost, what brings you to Poland? I mean, beyond, diplomatic courtesies, is it one of your first times here? Is it not? And what exactly, do tell us, is Azerbaijan seeking from Poland?
Thank you. Well, first of all, this is not my first time in Poland, but the idea of this visit is to contribute to the ongoing regular political dialogue that we enjoy with Poland, with whom we have more than 33 years of diplomatic relations, and Poland has always been a close partner. Poland also is one of the key partners of Azerbaijan in the European Union at NATO. So this is a good occasion at the end of the year to touch base with our Polish interlocutors and to explore the possibilities for further strengthening this relationship, but also to take stock of where we are today. And of course, I'm very pleased to have this opportunity because Poland is also one of the 9 EU member states who are enjoying strategic partnership relations with Azerbaijan.
Mr. Ambassador, so now, of course, notwithstanding that Europe increasingly depends on Azerbaijani gas, what can you tell us about this?
Well, I think that relations with the European Union are multidimensional. It's true that the first pillar of this relationship has been Azerbaijan's contribution to strengthening European energy security. It started with the crude oil, further on with the natural gas. Today we're discussing serious projects on how to move to renewables. So I think that energy is one of the pillars, but then we also are increasingly talking about the connectivity, given the transportation routes which are passing through South Caucasus and the crucial keystone geo-economic and geopolitical location of Azerbaijan at the crossroads between east and west and north and south.
Well, you are talking about transport routes, and notwithstandingly, I will get into the special topic. What is the latest on your end on the peace agreement with Armenia? And we're talking about connectivity, so and you're talking about a transport route, right? So let's also, if you can tell me about where you stand with the Zangezur corridor, with the TRIP, right? Trump route for international peace and prosperity. I believe this is what is said that it will be renamed, right? So what can you tell me about this?
Well, let me start by saying that 2025 will go into history as a historic year in the relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and in broader speaking in the South Caucasus, because after 3 decades of conflict, rivalry, and confrontation, the two countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, have opted to build peace. So, this summit on the 8th of August in Washington was a very important moment when leaders reconfirmed their commitment to lasting and irreversible peace. So we think that this is just the beginning of a long relationship because, as you know, the main reason of this conflict has been taken out. So this is
which was what?
Which was the territorial claim from the Armenian side to Azerbaijan. But now that Azerbaijan has restored its territorial integrity and sovereignty and proposed to Armenian side to work on the draft peace agreement, after 2.5 years of discussions, we finally, in March of 2025, agreed at the referendum on the text of this draft peace agreement. And it was very important that during the Washington summit, in the presence of leaders of Azerbaijan and Armenia and President of the United States, the 3 countries, they have reconfirmed their engagement, and they also added the win-win economic benefit piece of this peace deal, which is the project on the connectivity that you referred to. It is a large...
Has it begun yet, or...?
Well, actually, it depends what you mean, because, the Zangezur corridor is a large concept which includes a trip route, the Trump
And that's supposed to link Azerbaijan to Nakhichevan. Yes?
Well, that is going to do several goals. I mean, first, it will be linking the main part of Azerbaijan with Nakhchivan.
Essentially to be able to lead it to Turkey and onwards, right?
Well, that depends on how you look at it. You know, it will also link Armenia and Azerbaijan, which was not the case during 3 decades. Mm-hmm. It will also be one of the alternative routes linking Asia to Europe. Because, I mean, this is a crucial linchpin of connectivity, which will allow to increase the trade volumes coming from Asia to Europe and back.
Right.
So I think that, you know, because we want this to be a lasting peace, we, both sides, with the assistance of the United States, have agreed that there should be an economic benefit and tangible deliverable of this peace, which is the economic project and this trade corridor. And I think that it will lead eventually to certain economic interdependence between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which I believe could be one of the best insurance policies for peace.
That was my next question to you, Mr. Ambassador. What does a lasting peace look like to you? How do you envision that between two nations that have been in continuous conflict and blamed each other, you know, for this conflict for years and years and years? Let's not forget Russia's role here, right? How do you envision peace moving forward? I mean, you're only talking here about economic, you know, economic welfare and economic being and how it's going to bring a lot more opportunities for both countries, right? But what about peace in general and between the people? And let me please ask you also, how is reconciliation going to look like?
Yeah. Well, it's not only economic. I mean, I started by saying that the initialing of the draft peace agreement in Washington by foreign ministers of Azerbaijan and Armenia was a very important political act that once again reconfirmed that both parties and both countries are committed to this durable and irreversible peace, which is based on the mutual recognition and respect of each other's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and inviolability of borders. At the same time, the peace agreement envisages that both parties will abandon now and in the future any territorial claims to each other. Of course, when we talk about economic deliverables, it's very important because the people on the ground, they have to feel the benefits of this peace. And when this increased connectivity will allow them to open borders, to engage in trade relations, to build confidence, I think that that is also one of the very crucial elements for the peace to be lasting.
Are we going to see tourism, for instance, happening between both countries? Are Azerbaijanis going to be able to enter Armenia? Are Armenians going to be going to be able to enter Azerbaijan freely? Are we going to see this as part of this peace process?
You know, this is work in progress because, you know, we are in uncharted territory with Armenia because ever since we restored our independence back in 1991, we have never lived in the in conditions of peace. So these are the just first but very important steps that we are doing. You've asked about reconciliation. Of course, it's a long process. It involves not only the governments, but it involves also societies and people. And I think that the real peace is not automatically brought by signatures, you know, by officials, you know. It is brought and it should be felt by Azerbaijanis and Armenians in their daily lives. That is why, in addition to the government-to-government contacts, and in addition to this progress, historic progress which was achieved this year, we also are engaging the Track 2 diplomacy, which engages civil societies, but also broadly speaking societies of Armenia and Azerbaijan, because they need to know each other better, they need to listen to each other. And I think that the first exchanges of academicians, think tankers, which traveled to Baku, but also in Yerevan, I think that the first contacts between media representatives, you know, between the people who used to know both countries and which had the history of visiting them, these are also very important things because, you know, I think the diplomacy between societies is as important as diplomacy between governments. Of course, it will be a time when we will have opened eventually all the borders, established diplomatic relations, and of course we will have some diplomatic missions in our capitals. And why not? At some point there will be also the question of tourism, which will become a reality. But for now, we need to build this trust, you know, and trust is something.
Probably.
It may take time, but
Mr. Ambassador, does Azerbaijan still hold Armenian prisoners of war?
No, we don't have any prisoners of war because all prisoners of war they were returned to Armenia right after the end of the Second Karabakh War.
Right. That's not what Armenian media and actually various medias, including Amnesty, also have showed previously, that they're still being tried in Baku, that they've been giving sentences. What can you tell us about that?
These people are not prisoners of war. I think that the definition should be correct one. These are people who actually tried to enter illegally the territory of Azerbaijan after the end of the Second Karabakh War, which were engaged...
They tried to enter Baku, or
they were
tried to enter when Azerbaijan was...
They were entering the internationally recognized territory of Azerbaijan, which is Karabakh, and they were engaged in sabotage activities, and they were just apprehended at that point.
What kind of sabotage activities?
Well, they were bringing in landmines. They were trying to attack the Azerbaijani positions. They also were...
All those prisoners of war?
I mean, these are not prisoners of war. I say the war ended in November 8, 2020.
Right.
And it was after that, several months after that, that there were infiltrations by the Armenian military into the Azerbaijani territory. And these people...
But did they have an opportunity to leave Karabakh and to go into Armenia proper?
No. First of all, these are people who are now tried in justice, and I think that we should respect, the judiciary. They need to do their jobs, and when the investigation process will be over, then of course we will know what are they tried for and what are they accused of. So I think that these people who are some of them have committed wars of crime. Some of them have violated the Azerbaijani laws. So of course there should be some justice reestablished with regard to these people. That's
definitely the Azerbaijani narrative, but not the Armenian one. But Mr. Ambassador, just before I do let you go...
I'm here to speak about Azerbaijani narrative.
I understand. Yes. Recently in Germany, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan proposed a joint roadmap to close both the Armenian right of return issue on the Western Azerbaijan narrative and the Western Azerbaijan narrative. He was also greeted by the Azerbaijani ambassador, who it was nice to see, some kind of dialogue happening, who reportedly also greeted him in Armenian. What can you tell us about this, and what can we really at the end expect the following steps to be in the near future?
Well, as I said, peace is not something that you can achieve just by initialing a document. Yeah, first of all, we have to codify this peace, because the fact that the agreement was not signed but was initialed in Washington is explained by the fact that the constitutional framework of Armenia should be brought into compliance with the letter and spirit of the draft peace agreement on which Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed upon. So that's why I think that codifying of peace is very important, because when the peace is formalized, it is very hard to undo. Now, before that, we already were not just waiting that, we're working hard between the governments, between the societies, to build on the trust, which is a very rare commodity between our countries and peoples. And I think that the examples that I just mentioned before, they demonstrate that there is a clear understanding and shared goal by Armenia and by Azerbaijan to make their best in order to build on this peace. We haven't mentioned, for example, a very important work on the delimitation and demarcation of border.
Right.
We also are thinking about some confidence-building measures between the two countries.
Mr. Ambassador, I do have to end this interview, but in under 30 seconds, where does Azerbaijan stand with its relationship with Russia?
Well, Russia is a long-standing partner. It is our neighbor, and we are now in the process of normalization of our relations. I think that we have seen some difficult period, but now the meeting between the two leaders in Dushanbe in October, it gave an impulse to the normalization of such relations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elchin Amirbayov, the representative of the President of Azerbaijan. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for your invitation. Thank you. Good talking to you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.